I don't know why. I just think it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. It's hard to beat a team 16 times in a row, let alone 17.
It hasn't been easy. It's been really easy the first 16 times.
It has been pretty easy.
I think once you make it past 3, you're just like, actually, no, that team just sucks. The Chiefs are going to beat the shit out of them.
That's probably what will happen, and this makes no sense. But again,
there's going to be one crazy upset.
There's going to be one crazy upset.
Welcome to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, your hub for all things sports. Now, here are your hosts, Dylan and Turner.
Welcome in to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Leak, joined as always by my man, Turner. And we are going to recap everything in the NFL that we just saw. We just finished up Sunday Night Football where the Eagles destroyed the Miami Dolphins. Really, if it weren't for a pick 6 by Jalen Hurts, it would have been a 3-touchdown win for the Eagles, but they get the victory 31-17. What did we see tonight, Turner?
Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit in our preview last week. I think we both said, I mean, maybe I was stupid enough to pick the Dolphins. I can't remember who I picked.
I think we both picked the Eagles.
Okay, yeah. I thought the Eagles would pretty much dominate on the ground. They have the best offensive line in football, probably, would say.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, they, besides the pick 6, I mean, pretty much dominated in every aspect of the game. Tyreek Hill, of course, got his. He always does. He's the best receiver in the league. A.J. Brown had a really good game. I think
he did.
10 catches, 150, 160 yards, and a touchdown. So, and as always, the Tush Push, or whatever they call it, is undefeated. I think they were, I don't know how many conversions they had on it tonight.
It was at least 4.
It was, yeah, probably more than that. It was several. And I think at one point, Sirianni decided he was going to punt, right? Like deep in his own territory, and said, no, screw it. We get it 100% of the time, so we're just going to go out and do it on 4th and 1 from like their own, I don't know, I want to call it their own 30 or something.
I think.
And a 7-point game, by the way.
It wasn't. Did they go score? I think they went and scored on that
did.
drive. That changed the whole game. You punt there, the Dolphins go down and score.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. And they did it, I believe, a second time on that drive. They were in a 4th and short again. A.J. Brown got tackled like just short of the line. The second one was closer. The first one was like a full 1.5 yards, and they still got it.
Yeah.
They need to take that play out of the league. It's just so frustrating to watch. Like, it's just too much of an advantage for the offense. That said, I will say, no other team seems to be able to master it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it seems for everybody besides an Eagles fan, you definitely want to get rid of it. But for them, that's their secret weapon. And they, like, I'm trying to recall if I've seen, I think maybe one time I saw like a fumbled snap or something on it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen them do that and him just get stopped.
Is this really what we want the league to have? Like,
exactly.
Pushing guys
I
forward?
mean, I get it, but I think as the rule committee, if everybody was doing it on 4th and 1 and getting it, then you'd be like, okay, we're going to do away with this because it's just, a cheat code. But it's literally other teams try it, and there's a couple teams I've seen do it okay.
Yeah.
But it's only the Eagles that are like 100% on it. There's nobody else that's even close. And you were breaking it down and talking about it a little bit during the game that Goddard gets in there and pushes them. And, obviously they talk about Hurts squatting a lot. A couple times Goddard just like picked him up. A couple times Hurts was, his feet on the ground with Goddard pushing him. I mean, you're not going to stop it. So,
yeah, it was, I don't know, it's frustrating. Maybe it's because I'm a Cowboys fan, but it's frustrating for me to watch that.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of people hate it. But
but I will say, like, looking at the numbers of this game right now, the Eagles ran it 34 times for 99 yards, 2.9 yards a carry. Really inefficient game running the ball. Jalen Hurts turned it over twice, and they still win by 14. Like, and I said this last week. I said, I think that the Dolphins' offense is too gimmicky. I've said it from day one of last year when everybody freaked out. Every time they play a more physical team, this happens. We were talking about it after the game. We're like, this isn't really that surprising that they got beat like this. And I really believe, I mean, if you take away the 2 Jalen Hurts turnovers, which were both just stupid decisions, he hung onto the ball too long. It was a fumble. I believe the Dolphins scored a touchdown on that fumble, like not recovered it for a touchdown, but they scored on the ensuing drive, and then they had a pick 6. You take those 2 away, the Dolphins have 3 points in the game. So it's just like, I don't know that this offense is ever going to be the type that competes in big games. If they'll make the playoffs because they beat up on the lower part of the league, but I just don't see them being a competitive Super Bowl, team. I think they're probably a first, or maybe they win a playoff game if they get a good matchup. But you play physical football in the playoffs, it's hard to win with a game plan like that. And Tua, every time he starts to get some pressure hit, you said it during the game, we've talked about it before, he just looks like a different quarterback. I mean, 23 for 32, 216 yards, a touchdown and a pick, under 7 yards per pass. He was sacked 4 times. I just, every time he plays a good defense or decent defense, he looks like that. And I laugh at everybody who talks about him as an MVP candidate.
He just doesn't like getting hit, and rightfully so. I mean, he's been
I get
knocked unconscious a few times and hurt, and that scary hit on him last year. So I get it. I get why he's a little,
right,
gun shy with that. But I think they Eagles proved, even when they didn't even run it that well, with the stats you gave me, that they're just a far superior team than the Dolphins. So
I do think that I still think I'm right, and I think you I don't think you agreed with me to the degree that I say he's bad, but I still think Jalen Hurts is the only thing that holds that team back. You got the best offensive line in football. You have a dominant defensive front. You have wide receivers that are arguably the best, if not the second best in the league, behind probably Miami. You got a solid tight end in Dallas Goedert. I mean, the whole team is good, and it's just like, I just think if you had a great quarterback, you win a Super Bowl easily.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I just don't think that – I think he's a product of the team, not the other way around. And so I just – could they win a Super Bowl with him? Sure. But it's I just not as high on him.
I think they definitely can win a Super Bowl with him. I'm not as high on him as other people. I'm certainly not as down on him as you are. But, I mean, if you put, elite quarter like a Herbert in that offense or something like that, of course, you think
top 5.
They would probably win a Super Bowl. But far superior team in the Eagles. I think they showed that tonight. And Miami, I'm with you. I don't think they get out of the maybe one playoff game. If they have to go play and if they meet back, Buffalo's a different story with what they did today, and they've looked terrible the last 2 weeks. But if they do have to play a playoff game there or somewhere where it's at this point it's looking like they may end up having to go to Baltimore, because Baltimore looks really good. So if you had to go play up there in the winter, who knows how it's going to go for the Dolphins, but I can't see them winning 2 playoff games and getting to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I don't see that team being a Super Bowl contender, but staying in the AFC East, we saw the Bills today, and you said it a second ago. I do know what's happened, but what's shocking to me is I think we talked a little bit about it last week, that we thought the London trip played a big role in why they had struggled the past 2 weeks. One was a loss in London to the Jags. The next week they then, barely survived the Giants at home, which is, tends to be a very tough place to come in and win if you're a road opponent. And now this week you play the Patriots, and it's a game that no one expects you to lose. I know you're at New England and it's a divisional opponent, but the way New England has looked this year, they've just shown no semblance of life. And to allow that offense to score 29 points, the Patriots hadn't scored more than 20 in a game all season, and they scored 29 on you. And it's not just that they lost, it's how they lost. This team, as good as Josh Allen has been, Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. And you go down by 12, and you get back-to-back touchdowns in 5 minutes, take the lead, get the 2, and go up by 3. And now it's like, okay, you got to get a stop against Mac Jones, who couldn't avoid a safety last week at the end of the Raiders game, which with a much worse defense, and they go right down the field. It took them about a minute and a half for them to go straight down the field. They get down to the 1-yard line and score a touchdown with, I believe, 15 seconds or so to go, and the Bills lose the game. And it's like, I don't know what this team is now. 3 weeks ago, I thought they were the best team in football. After the last 2 weeks, but going into this game, I thought if they get right here, I'll be a little bit more of a believer. But I got to believe the way that defense got cut up by Mac Jones, those injuries are playing a big, big role.
Absolutely. I think I was right there with you 3 weeks ago with them being, saying definitely having them as the best team in the AFC. I think the first play the Bills had the ball, Josh Allen threw a pick, right?
Yep, he did.
So, you're just spotting a bad team 10 points basically right out of the gate. They did the job and came all the way back, but the defensive injuries, like you said, probably cost them in the end. And,
Yep.
the Patriots drive down there and score. I mean, I guess it's, a testament to maybe Bill Belichick and never counting him out because his team is so bad. Like, I mean, I think that has to have something to do with it. I mean, Mac Jones has been so bad, so his game plan for the game. But, I mean, yeah, I guess it just goes to show you, it seems like every year we have 6 weeks of the NFL season and we think we know who the best teams are, this and that and the other, and then 3 weeks later, you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, exactly. That's
San Francisco loses to the Browns with the Browns' third-string quarterback. Then you have the Bills, who could have lost 2 games in a row. I guess you would call it a fair result that they won one, lost one there. But, yeah, I mean, could have very easily lost 2 weeks in a row to bad football teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. You look at the Cowboys, right? First 3 weeks looks like they're the best team in football. They lose to the Cardinals. They lose to the 49ers. All of a sudden, nobody believes. They think Dak's job's in jeopardy. But that's the NFL. My dad said the same thing, he was like, who would have thought the Bills lose to the Patriots? I'm like, that's the NFL. It's just what happens. You look at some of these games and the first 3 or 4 weeks, I think it played out pretty predictably. Whereas, like in terms of like public prediction, nothing super wild happened. And then you start to see the Cowboys lose to the Cardinals, and then the Niners lose to the Browns, and now you start to see this what happens every year. I mean, we went 6 weeks and not a single undefeated team through 6 weeks after last week.
Yep.
And so just a lot of parity there. But I do think there's some trouble in Buffalo because some of those injuries are not short-term injuries.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, if you're Josh Allen, and I think we said this, like before the London game, it was like, okay, maybe them losing that week 1 to the Jets was the best thing that ever happened to Josh Allen. He looked sharp the next 2 weeks. He was throwing the ball to Diggs, and then right back to old Josh Allen, first play of the game. I mean, and I watched every second of that game. The interception he threw that first play, I mean, it wasn't even close. It was bad. It was a bad throw. And he just makes stupid decisions. That's who he's been his whole career. He might have a couple games where he does a better job taking care of the ball, but for the most part, he just...
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, obviously Belichick and his son, who's, I think, the defensive play caller there now.
He is.
They had a game plan for it. They've seen him enough. It's the divisional opponent thing. But even against the Giants, the offense didn't look very crisp. And that's the thing. Like, I know the defense isn't going to be near as good without those players and those, big time injuries. But you expect the offense to be just as explosive. They haven't lost anybody over there, and they're just not. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if some of the leagues, figured something out. I mean, I guess, against the Giants as well, it wasn't a divisional opponent, but with Dable, being the shot caller there.
That's a great point. That did play a factor.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I mean, 100%. If anybody knows how to try to contain or stop Josh Allen, it's Dable.
Right.
So they're very close. And so I guess that kind of makes sense. It's almost like playing 2 divisional opponents back to back, and they definitely showed on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, to me, and we can move on from Buffalo, but it's like you play a Raiders team last week, and the Patriots do, who, I don't know how, if the Raiders were able to move the ball on the Patriots with not only with Garoppolo, who's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, but even Brian Hoyer comes in and is basically, he completed 7 of 10 passes for like 90 yards and took them right down the field. If you're able to do that, I mean, I don't understand how the Bills can't move the ball on the Patriots for 3 quarters. It took them literally till the 4th quarter. They scored 15 points in the last 7 minutes of the game. So before that, they were stymied. I think part of it is the play caller, Ken Dorsey. I've not been a fan of him. I think since Dayball left, the offense has been significantly worse, less consistent. And I think, too, Josh Allen gets in these modes of just like, he's going to throw the ball downfield. He doesn't care what is underneath, and he doesn't check down. And I think that's a problem. But we can move on from that game, and we'll go over to the Browns and Colts, which was probably the wildest game of the day. We had Deshaun Watson. Is he in? Is he out? There were reports late in the week of people watching him in practice, and it's like it looked like his arm was like a lame duck, like he couldn't throw the ball. And then all of a sudden he's ruled in to play. He throws an interception on the first drive, albeit it wasn't a bad throw. It was a good play by the safety. And then the second drive, he throws what looks to be his second interception. It's ruled incomplete. On the play, Watson's head hits the ground. And what's crazy is he goes into concussion protocol. He's cleared without a concussion and remains out of the game. Stefanski said he wanted to err on the side of caution. They put P.J. Walker in the game. Cleveland still able to put up 39 points with P.J. Walker at the helm. And for the second straight week, Walker leads the Browns to victory. And I think it's a credit to, I don't think the defense played great today, but they came up with some big stops in the game. And just the system Stefanski runs, I don't think he's the greatest coach, but you're not going to lose a ton of, like, you're going to be consistently winning games when you run the ball and you play defense. And that's what they do. They ran the ball. They don't care whether Nick Chubb's back there, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt. They run the ball well. Their offensive line is solid, and the quarterback position doesn't. I mean, Amari Cooper had 2 catches today. He scored 39 points in one without Deshaun Watson. So, that was a wild game. What was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I mean, the game was on crack. There's all kinds of turnovers. There's 75-yard touchdown, strip sack for a touchdown. I mean, it was all over the place. Yeah, I mean, the Cleveland defense obviously gave up a lot of points, but like you said, I mean, I know they had a strip sack earlier, and then they had a strip sack for a touchdown. They're making plays. Yeah, I don't know how you hold San Francisco to, I don't know, was it set less than 17 points last week?
Yeah, it was, I believe the final was 19-17.
Yeah, so, you hold San Francisco to 17 points, and you give up 30-something to the Colts. 38. It was just ultimately, I think, just a weird game, back and forth, big plays. But
yeah,
like you said, defense made plays to keep them in the game. P.J. Walker, not great, obviously, but did enough to get the job done. So, yeah, another nice win for the Brownies. What are they, 4-2?
4-2.
Yep.
4-2.
And so are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, how in the world the
we don't have to talk about that game much.
Well, let's touch on it because to me, this is the epitome of everything that's wrong with the NFL. I mean, how in the fuck, A, are they 4-2, but B, into that game, how the fuck can you not review that? Like, to me, and we talked about this while we were watching, it's like how the NFL is still in the dark ages of you have to have a timeout to challenge, and it's not reviewed upstairs. If it's a 4th down in the 4th quarter, that needs to be reviewed. It was a quarterback sneak. Pickett was absolutely 100% short of the line.
At least a foot short.
At least a foot short. And what was so weird about it is you pointed this out when we were watching it together, which is the official ran in spotting it short. And then when they measured, it just didn't make any sense. Like, how they got the spot that they did.
It could have been a lot of times, too, and I make this mistake always thinking that yellow line is official. So you take it like as gospel, and then they run. Because I think they did mark it on that spot. I was like, oh, that's short. And they brought the chains out. But it's obviously an unofficial line. So I think he marked it on the spot he ran in there on. But
I guess he did.
I don't know. But regardless, it looked even, we were looking at the yellow line on the replays, but then you could see the sticks in the background, and it still looked clearly short. And the fact of the matter is, like you said, even the XFL,
it's a joke,
has something, and they would just say, hey, no, he's 2 feet short, move the ball back, it's or whatever, it's a Rams ball, because that was 4th down, whatever. But it's ridiculous that you're right. I mean, the NFL lives in the stone ages with these rules, and there's no reason for it. Just get it right. The whole point is we don't need the official to go over there and look at it and take. They have was it New York or in hockey it's Toronto,
right?
Like they have the replay center. Those guys are officials. They're not just like replay guys. They're actual NFL officials that work there, I believe. You're right. In Major League Baseball, that's how they do it. Whatever. So they can be there and radio in, and into the earpiece or buzz down and say, "Hey, look, I'm looking right down the line.
Right.
He's a foot short. It's the Rams' ball." I mean, and they do that in college football, the XFL, in any football I can think of. So the fact that McVay got basically screwed and the Rams got screwed out of at least possessing the ball to go try to tie it.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
And it's all the technicalities. Well, no, it wasn't a turnover and downs because we gave them the first down.
Right.
So it's just like, if they marked them short, they could have reviewed it.
Right.
They didn't mark them short, so they can't review it.
Exactly. And the same thing like, oh, well, it happened before even though we hit the 2-minute warning, it happened outside of the 2-minute warning, so we can't look at it. It's just stupid. And it's the same type of stuff like earlier in the year when we had the one of the first games of the year and we had an egregious pass interference call in the end zone on the 2-point conversion when Denver was playing the Commanders.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't review that. I understand not wanting to review penalties. I understand wanting to make the game go faster. A college game is not much longer than an NFL game, and they look at every play is reviewed automatically. Every play is automatically reviewed. They don't even have coaches challenge anymore. I actually heard somebody challenge a play the other day, and it was like the first time I've seen a college coach challenge something in like 2 years because it's usually automatically looked at anyway, unless they just think it's completely wrong. And so I just don't understand why the NFL refuses to do it.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh challenged, shit you not, against Indiana. I think it was 42-7, but his team hadn't given up 10 points all year. And they threw this ball down, or more than 10 points, and they threw this ball down like 2 yards. This is like with 15 seconds left of the game. And he's irate, screaming on the sideline and called timeout, challenged it, and they overturned it. But I mean, yeah, you don't see it a lot. It's usually the replay just handles it. It's very simple. Oh, look, you made a mistake. Let's fix it.
Doesn't take
NFL
long.
should do the same thing. It's as simple as that.
It's ridiculous. And then the result is, once again, like you said, what do you say about Mike Tomlin? I mean, he sold his soul to the devil.
Or, yeah, something.
Right?
The guy just doesn't. He always wins, and that team is not very good. They play pretty good defense, but like on the offensive side of the ball, they're just not very explosive. I mean, Pickens has had some big games, and he's a great receiver, but I don't have much faith in Pickett. But shit, they're 4-2. So
I would venture to guess that at 4-2, they're still about 43% to make the playoffs, even with the 4-2 record. You got the Browns, the Bengals who are playing better, and the Ravens all in that division alone. Yeah. I just don't see it.
I mean, on paper, they're the worst team in that division by a long way. So,
and the only team they're ahead of record-wise is the Bengals. Everybody else is 4-2.
Yeah.
So, you know, that we'll see how that division.
Are the Bengals 3-3 or now?
The Bengals are 3-3, I believe. I think
after starting 0-3.
After starting,
they won 3 in a row.
Yes, I think.
Or did they start 1-2?
They started 1-2 because I think they won against the Rams that night on like Monday Night Football when they had the doubleheader. I think they went 1-2. They then lost the next week.
That's right.
And then won the last two against Arizona and the Seahawks. That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they lost it. That was after that brutal 27-3 loss to the Titans when they got lit up by Ryan Tannehill in that game. But
yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
Titans are not good.
They're really, really bad. But yeah, I mean, overall, we had some really good games this week. We had the Giants pull the upset over the Commanders, which, you know, not a big upset. Commanders are very inconsistent. 14-7. You saw the end of the Falcons-Bucks game when that should have been way over, and Desmond Ridder fumbled going into the end zone.
Yep, he was pretty lackadaisical going into the end zone there, and who was it? Anyway, one of the corners popped it out.
Yeah,
it was Baker, man. That drive after they did that, I mean, he completed a couple good passes, but then I don't know what down it was, but he just stared down this tight end for 5 seconds and threw it in the double coverage and threw a pick. And then they ended up calling, I think they got it back with like 2 minutes left or something.
Yeah.
Tried to go down and get a game-winning touchdown. Could only get the field goal. And then obviously Ridder hit Kyle Pitts, I think, like for the... Kyle Pitts maybe had one other catch. It's bizarre how they never use him.
It's
but
just
anyway,
how bad Desmond
got
Ridder
it in
is.
field goal range, and old Young Ho put it through.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts had 3 catches for 47 yards. What a big day for Kyle Pitts there.
And
in that offense.
one catch was 35, I think. So it's just
39.
crazy.
So he had 2 other for 8.
Dude, it's just I don't understand that.
You have one of the best tight ends, like a bona fide wide receiver at tight end, and you can't utilize him. It's just pathetic.
Man, he's a freak athlete, too.
He's
I just don't know. They got to trade him or do something with him.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you look at Buccaneers went into their bye 3-1. They're now 3-3. They look like more like who we thought they would be.
Coming back down to earth.
Exactly. And then the only other kind of real, well, we had 2 other kind of games, and we'll just touch on them real quick. You know, this one I wasn't surprised, but the Ravens just absolutely dismantled the Lions, 38-6. And this is something that I've said before, and I've never been a big Goff guy, but I do know this. Jared Goff on the road in any sort of like non-ideal conditions is a different quarterback. You put him in a dome and you give him a decent offensive line, the guy can throw the ball, but you put him in any sort of like altered conditions, if you pressure him, he's not very good. He was sacked 5 times against the Ravens. They scored 6 points. He was 33 for 53 for 284 yards. Threw the ball 53 times, averaged only 5.5 yards per pass.
That's not a recipe for success.
Right. There was no turnovers. That's what kind of was shocking about it. It went 3 and out, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, 3 and out,
and
touchdown.
And Lamar must have thrown pretty well today.
He did. No? He threw 3 touchdowns. He was 21 for 27 for 357.
Oh, yeah. But, that's and I guess, the Lions have a good run D, so they probably are going in thinking, okay, it's going to be our run defense versus them, and their secondary must just not be very good.
Yeah.
If Lamar's throwing for over 300 on you, that's not a good look. So.
I do think that the Ravens offense was like, they were due to break out. They've been like it's looked good, but then it hasn't been that good.
Yeah.
And then and like it just looked like it's almost there, and it was waiting to burst, and it finally did.
I think they've been settling for like I remember watching that London game and them flashing stats that like usually they're pretty good in the red zone with Lamar running it in, but
right.
This year they've struggled, I believe, at least going into that game. So, I think Lamar and them look. Hey, they're the new best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
Well, it's
for
them,
today.
Yeah, for today. Them and the Chiefs today are the best 2 teams.
That's the last. I will say last thing about that is if I was a Lions fan, I really wouldn't panic all too much. Not only does this happen in the NFL, like we've talked about already multiple times, but you look at their schedule. I mean, you listen to this schedule, right? They go Raiders, win. At the Chargers is an automatic win, but it's not the most difficult game in the world. Then they go Packers at home, Bears at home, at the Saints, at the Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. I mean, they play 2 playoff teams legitimately, if the Chargers are even a playoff team, but none of the rest of those teams.
NFL always does such weird things with the schedule. Like, why? Like, are you playing a divisional opponent week 16 and 18? Is that what it said?
Yep. Vikings.
It's so weird how they do that.
And some of them will play weeks 1-3. Like I think
Jacksonville and Houston,
right,
maybe, right? Did something like that.
I know that I know the Jags have played the Colts twice as 2 already. I mean, it just makes no sense.
Not sure why that happens. I guess it's logistical stuff, but it's interesting to say the least. How teams you'd finish playing a divisional opponent by week 3, or you couldn't play them till week 16 and 18.
Yeah,
now, so.
And I know you want to have I'm sure they have analytical ways to decide the schedule and all of that. But it almost seems logical to do the schedule where it's like, okay, you play the whole the division is at the end of the year. Like you play all non-divisional games, and then the last 6 games you just go. That almost
I do like that.
That almost would be kind of cool, but anyway, I digress on that. The last game, and we'll just touch on it quickly. Chiefs Chargers, right? I think we kind of expected the Chargers to give them a close game. They always play close. It was for most of the game. It was 41 points scored in the first half, 7 in the second combined, and unfortunately for under bettors, or for over bettors rather. But again, right? Just Brandon Staley defense can't get a stop against anyone. The Chiefs, once again, find a way to win. Even their defense didn't look good early. They shut down the Chargers, blanked them in the second half. Keenan Allen really didn't do much all day.
Eckler or Allen didn't do much.
Yeah, Eckler's been real disappointing this season in general.
I don't know if he's playing kind of knock. I mean, everybody's playing. They say everybody's playing something. But I don't know what his deal is, but he hasn't looked near his normal self far this year.
Not at all.
Yeah, the Chargers are one of the great mysteries of the league. I mean, it's just they're loaded. Well, losing Mike Williams obviously hurts a lot.
Right.
And Quentin Johnson hadn't been playing that well, so it's just that secondary is so bad. I mean, and the problem is they have to decide what they're going to do. It's like, okay, if we double Kelsey, then we have to play basically man free with everybody else, and our zone, which we get, he's going to kill us in the zone. It's like, pick your poison. Either way, you're going to give up a shit ton of yards, and Mahomes threw for what, 300-something yards in the first half?
Yeah, yes.
Kelsey had 150 yards in the first half?
Yeah, and I think Mahomes finished with 400 plus. Kelsey finished with like 180. And it's like, it just seems like such a Brandon Staley thing, right? Like, so indecisive. They sat in zone the whole first half, and Kelsey picked them apart. So they're like, okay, let's go man in the second half, and then the wide receivers picked them apart.
I mean, I just think that he's trying, but that secondary is really, really bad.
What's weird
I don't
to
think
me,
he's I'm with you on not thinking he's a good coach. I kind of liked when he first came, when it was essentially a breath of fresh air with him almost just always following the books, analytics. Like, no, it's 4th and 3 from the 40, whatever, and 90% NFL coaches are going to punt, and I'm going to go for it every single time.
Yeah.
That's just what it says to do. Obviously, he takes a lot of heat for it when it doesn't work out, and I would say through most of his career, it hasn't.
I mean, it's definitely not so far.
Yeah, they have a lot of problems there.
They do, but they still have Derwin James at safety. The biggest thing was they traded away J.C. Jackson in the offseason. It just didn't make any sense, and it really looks like a bad deal now. The Patriots got him, but Chargers have a lot of issues, and it's shitty because it feels like they're just wasting Justin Herbert. They're wasting Keenan Allen, who just seems to stay in his prime even at age 31. He's still, out of the peak of his career, and you're just wasting really talented offense on a shit defense, and really Kellen Moore's lack of ability to make adjustments in game. Every single week with the Chargers, it's the same thing. They look good offensively in the first half, and they can't adjust and make anything happen in the second half. I heard a stat the other day on a show I was listening to that, I think in this season, the Chargers, and I think they were losing finally today, but I think they were undefeated in the first half in terms of against the spread, and they were hadn't won a game in the second half, because every single week it's the same thing. Kellen Moore, the same issue he had in Dallas, can't make adjustments, has a good game plan, has a good base, can't make adjustments, and ends up giving the game away late. Okay, so we'll move on to the NFL preview. There again, horrible slate of games.
Games suck. Yeah.
Saying games suck. So let's just, for sake of my Cowboys, they take on the Rams. The Rams are, who the Rams were last year, pretty much an average football team. They're a little bit better. Stafford's been playing better. He had a really bad interception today against the Steelers that kind of flipped the game. It was almost a pick six when they were up 7 with the ball early in the second half. Cowboys 4-2, undefeated at home. Dallas is favored by 6. Who knows, coming off of a bye, sometimes the NFL, it's not good to go into your bye off of a win.
I'll say that I think the bye helps them, and obviously not because of coaching, because they're the worst coaching on earth. And I mean, I like Dan Quinn, but Dan Quinn just pretty much, he's just kind of there not to fuck things up. He brings 4 and lets the defense play. I give him credit in that Chargers game when he finally brought pressure and it got home. He got it there at the right time. But I think the rest helps the Cowboys at home. I'm not going to put too much thought into it. But the Rams didn't look great today. Lost to a very average Steelers team. I think the Cowboys are going to beat them by 10 points. Something like that. I think they could even be up 17 and then the Rams get a late touchdown or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. My one worry is that as good as we talked about this last week, the Cowboys being pretty darn good against the run this year, which is kind of flipped from last year. Since they've lost Diggs, the secondary just hasn't looked great. Obviously, the guy I can't stand, Jalon Kearse, is one of the safeties. He's been horrific. And Gilmore, obviously, good corner, but there's just something off. Even in the Chargers game where they only put up 17 points, Herbert just missed guys that were open. Keenan Allen was running wide open a lot of the time.
Yeah, missed a couple big throws.
Yeah, to me, I just don't like that the Rams have 2 really good receivers, and Dan Quinn doesn't bring a lot of pressure. It's like, okay, we're basically now going to rely on getting natural pressure to win this game. Because if you don't get pressure on Stafford, he can still pick you apart. If you get pressure on him like the Steelers did today, then yeah, it's going to be a long day for that offensive line. But This is going to be on Dan Quinn because there's no reason the Cowboys can't score on the Rams defense. They're very average. And, the Cowboys are probably going to do what they always do, which is put up like 21 points and look very average doing it. So can your defense get pressure on Stafford, force some turnovers to get your, I'm not saying the Cowboys won't score more than 21, but the offense is not going to score more than 21. So it's like, you're relying on your defense. I'll take the Cowboys. I think it's going to be closer than that. I do think Dak plays better at home. So I'll say Dallas by 4. I think I'll say I think the defense maybe creates a turnover that leads to an easy score so that it's like 24-20 is maybe how I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So give me the Cowboys, but I hate picking I almost want to pick against them every week just because they are so bad.
That's what your dad does every week.
It's smart. Works out for him when they win.
Yeah.
But we'll look at the rest of the games and we'll kind of just go through and pick these. So we got Thursday night Buccaneers at the Bills. Bucks off back-to-back losses after starting 3-1. Bills lost 2 of the last 3. Big game for both these teams' seasons. Bills need this win at home on Thursday night in primetime. Bucks are 2-0 on the road this year.
31-13 Bills.
Ooh, blowout. I just don't see the Bills' defense stopping anybody right now. So I'll take the Bills, but I think it's 24-27. Or 20, yeah, 20. I was like 24-30.
It's probably much more realistic than my deal.
24-30.
I'm just throwing them out there.
Yeah. Give me. Okay, sorry. We already picked the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Vikings at the Packers, a divisional matchup. Both teams 2-4.
Man, the Packers look horrible. But the Vikings without Jefferson are certainly not great. I'll take the Vikings on a last-second field goal.
Yeah, man, I want to.
I think it's going to come down to the last kick of the. One of those teams is going to win on the last kick of the game.
That's a good pick. I will say, I feel like we picked everything the same today, so I want to pick the Packers, but we're shooting this before Monday Night Football, so we don't know the outcome of the Vikings Monday night game. So, if the Vikings somehow pull an upset against the 49ers, I 100% would pick the Packers. But if they lose, then I think they're going to win. So, I'll go ahead and I'm going to assume they're going to lose to the 49ers, so I'm going to pick the Vikings. I agree it's going to come down to the wire. Falcons at the Titans. Falcons, 4 wins. Titans, 2-4. Probably out of it, and Tannehill is, I believe, out for the year.
Falcons.
Yeah. Give me the Falcons. And now
it'll be an ugly damn game. It'll be Falcons by 7.
I will say the line indicates that somehow the Titans will win. They're 1-point favorites, Atlanta is. But I agree. I think the Falcons will win. I think they're wrong on that one.
I mean, Ritter is. I don't think he's the answer. But,
no, he's not.
But
think about it.
The Titans are going to start. Are they going to start? What's his name? Malik.
Is Malik Willis?
Yeah. No, he that's who was playing when they were in London.
I
thought they released him.
I thought he was on the Patriots, but that was Malik Cunningham.
Yeah.
And so Malik Willis is now is the start. I can't believe that. I mean, Will Levis must be horrible because the one game that Malik Willis started, I think he threw for the least yards any quarterback has ever thrown for that played an entire NFL football game. Who started and played a whole game. I think he threw for 11 yards.
I was about to say that wasn't Peterman.
I think Peterman even completed a couple passes, even if they were the other team.
Was it? Yeah, never mind. We won't get into that. It's late.
Yeah, but look at this.
He got pulled, obviously.
Could you believe? Yeah, after the 5th pick. I don't know if they had anybody left. Falcons, man, could get to 5-3 with a win there. Give me the Falcons by 3. Saints at the Colts. Speaking of ugly.
I can't see the Colts beating anybody right now. Just the way they lost the game today, and the Saints suck too. Give me the Saints by 1.
Saints by 1.
Yeah, they're gonna lose by 1 back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, give me the Saints by a touchdown. Give me Saints. They found a little bit of offense at the end of the game. They were a drop away from going to overtime. I mean, they dropped a touchdown in the end zone. Could have gone to overtime with Jacksonville. Patriots at the Dolphins.
I'm picking the Patriots.
I can't believe
because
that.
I think Waddle's going to be out.
He came back in the game.
Oh, did he?
He played at the end of the game.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay,
But, I mean,
he was like
back injuries
it seemed to be like
are
a lot
weird.
of I don't know. The Patriots coming, somehow beating the Bills. I think it's going to be, the NFL is unpredictable.
It is.
I'm going to take the Patriots by 3. I don't know.
I don't know what the line is, but whatever it is, I would take the Dolphins minus anything up to 17.
Yeah.
I just think that is the type of team they beat badly. But again, in no way would I be shocked if the Patriots won the game. It wouldn't. After the Patriots beat the Bills today, nothing surprises me anymore about the NFL.
I just feel like when you pick these NFL games, you always have to have like 2 fairly big upsets. And
exactly.
Like Bill Belichick, had a big upset this week, and so maybe not say they turned a corner. The team stinks, but
you never know.
Who knows?
I agree. That's why I picked the Jets last week against the Eagles, but. Yeah, I don't even know who I'm going to take in my big upset this week, but that's a good point. I do think the Dolphins bounce back. Jets at the Giants, the battle for New York.
Oh, good Lord. I think the Jets defense is the difference in that. Jets by 4.
Yeah, Jets by 3 for me. I think the Jets win. I think it's close, but that's a huge game for their season. They're 3-3. That's big for them.
Crazy.
The Giants have no incentive to win there. I don't know why they're even trying to win games at this point. Just tank.
Well, I think they kind of are, but Tyrod Taylor's playing better than Danny Dimes.
Yeah, he is. I think he's just so much more mobile. Even though Dan Jones can run, Tyrod can just get out of a lot of sacks. He's elusive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Somehow, both of these teams have winning records by more than 1 game. The Jags 5-2 and undefeated on the road against the Steelers in Pittsburgh 4-2.
Jags will beat them. Jags by 7.
Somehow, the Steelers will find a way to win this game.
You're probably right. That's probably who's even favored in that game?
Jags by 1.
I was about to say it had to be close to pick 'em or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Toss
up.
Here's my upset of the week. Eagles at the Commanders. I got a good pick last couple weeks against the Jets. I'm gonna fade the Eagles again. I think they were fortunate. I don't think they're as good as everybody thinks, like I said. And the Commanders always play them close. They almost beat them the first one. It went to overtime.
I think that game could go either way.
Washington by 3.
I'll say Philly by 3, just so I'm not on the same side as you.
Yep. Texans at the Panthers. Can the Panthers get their first one of the season?
No. Texans by 10.
Texans by... It'll be closer than people think, and Bryce Young will play well, but the Texans will pull it out on a game-winning field goal by 3. Browns at the Seahawks. Both of them 4-2.
I'm gonna take the Seahawks in that game. The Browns are due for a loss.
Browns are due for a loss. But I'm going to actually take the Browns, even if P.J. Walker plays. I just don't like Geno Smith. I'm going to root for the Browns. I want to root for the Browns in that one, so I'll pick them. Browns by a field goal. Chiefs at the Broncos.
It's going to be 18 straight or whatever for the Chiefs. Right? It's 17 in a row
or
now?
16. It'll be 17 now.
17. Denver will score late to make it they're Denver by 8. Chiefs by 8.
This makes no sense. But give me the Broncos. I don't know why. I just think it's hard to beat a team 3. What do they say? It's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. It's hard to beat a team 16 times in a row, let alone 17.
It hasn't been easy. It's been really easy the first 16 times.
It has been pretty easy.
I think once you make it past 3, you're just like, actually, no, that team just sucks, and the Chiefs are going to beat the shit out of them.
That's probably what will happen, and this makes no sense. But again,
there's going to be one crazy upset.
There's going to be one crazy upset. The Chiefs have won 6 in a row. It's hard to win a lot. They keep winning like that, and even as bad as the Broncos have been, and as bad as they've been, even at home, it took a miracle today for them to win at home against the terrible Packers and Jordan Love. So this makes no sense. But there's something weird's going to happen next week, and I think it might be in this game. So give me the Broncos by 1. Yeah. I can't predict anything more than that. Broncos by 1, 20-19 somehow. Bengals at the 49ers could be a very good game.
I'm going to take the Niners.
Give me the Bengals.
The Niners have a lot. The Bengals could win the game. I think the Niners, I don't know how healthy you're going to be at that point. They have a lot of injuries. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I'm going to say Niners by 4.
Okay, I'm going to make this a contingency pick since we're picking this before the Monday night game. I'm picking the Bengals, but if the Niners somehow get upset by the Vikings, there's no way they'll lose 3 in a row. So I'm going to take the Bengals, but if the Niners do end up losing tomorrow night, then I'm going to switch my pick to the Niners.
Yeah.
So give me the Bengals with contingent on the Niners winning tomorrow night. Bears at the Chargers on Sunday night. What a Sunday night game we got right there.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Chargers.
Combined 4 wins. Yeah, Chargers win by 10. Bears suck. They even though Badgett played good today, or I don't even know how do you pronounce his name.
And probably like it looks French. It's probably like Bajan.
Bajan, yeah. Last game, and we'll get out of here. Raiders at the Lions on Monday Night Football.
The Lions are going to beat them by 17 after getting embarrassed by the Ravens.
Yeah, that's a big bounce back spot at home. There's no way they're losing at home to the Raiders, let alone with Brian Hoyer at quarterback. Even if Jimmy G plays, won't matter. That's going to be a blowout. I can see that being a popular teaser leg this week. Have a great week. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Enjoy NBA start of the season. College basketball coming up soon. And we've got a terrible slate of football on the docket for you this week. Thanks for tuning in to our latest episode. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.